Hey, I'm back again, and we are at episode 4 of Speculum Mors, and I'm going to change some things up on how I'm presenting the work in progress on these videos. And the reason I want to do that is because, pretty much every level I make is pretty much the same routine, and I want to start talking about other aspects of, level design while I'm showing you my work in progress. But first, I've been having trouble getting assets over to CryEngine 3. And as you can see here, I finally figured out how to get my assets over and get them into the game aspect with all the material set up. That is your defuse, your specular, and your bump maps. And I was running into some problems getting a lot of this over, and but yeah, I figured it out. But I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I just put that in there to gloat for my own personal satisfaction. It took a while for me to get it rolling. There were some basic mistakes I was making, but I figured them out. I got my first static meshes over into the level. And in the next video, I promise we will be seeing a lot more of custom assets being brought over to this level. But right now we're laying out vegetation, and I really want to talk about as far as like a game developer or people who are aspiring to be game developers or who currently feel that they have ideas that are worthy for either video games or movies or what other entertainment media you might be pursuing. Like really what inspires you. It's something really to think about. And I know typically most people are visual learners, and we absorb a lot of what we know visually. But I also find out I get inspired by not so much movies or other video games, but a lot of different forms of media. Now don't get me wrong, I'll play a video game and I'll say, wow, that'd be cool, I wish I thought of that. And when I think about, say, the mechanics of a game, how it works, I guess you could say like your button layout, the mechanics, and all that jazz. Yeah, I do look at other video games as an inspiration, but when it comes to the story, the look, the feel, the mood, I have a tendency to not necessarily look at other video games for that, but different forms of media. And I guess another form of media would come to mind first would be movies, and yeah, to an extent, movies do kind of inspire me. But I get a lot of my inspiration through different music, even books, even things I read about on a daily basis, like say on the internet, things of that nature. And I'm sure everyone's a little different. And I really want everyone who watches the videos to really think about the question I'm trying to ask. What inspires you? What gives you these ideas of these stories that you want to tell or you want to display? What motivates you? What makes you, for instance, I don't know, say you were tasked with coming up with a whole new game or a whole new concept. Like, where do you go? Where do you begin with? What's your foundation? Typically, for instance, when I do the levels, when I think of levels, I really think of something really basic and build upon there from it. Like, for instance, I wanted this to be kind of like a Halloween level, and I was going to set it at night around this lake. I wanted it kind of spooky, and I got a lot of different references. I wanted to do something a little more fantasy horror, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think lakes have been used too terribly much in recent years. The first thing that comes to mind is Crystal Lake from Friday the 13th, and that's about it. But I also remember as a kid other movies such as like Swamp Thing. I thought the Swamp Thing, the original John Carpenter version, was pretty creepy. And I wanted to incorporate something like that and incorporate a little bit more fantasy horror elements to this level. When I see fantasy horror, there's different other films and books that I read throughout my years that's really inspired me. And when I say inspire me, I mean things that I'm I'm bringing back as far as my imagination is when I read them as a child. A lot of the older Anne Rice novels. She said a lot of it during, I guess, 1800s Louisiana. You had a lot of I guess like plantations and swamps and things of that area, that nature, and I kind of wanted to incorporate that feel into this level, and also just I don't know if it's really a direct inspiration to this level, but I remember the Army of Darkness, which was what Evil Dead 3 or 4. It was when I was a kid. I really liked that horror series. I pretty much like almost anything Bruce Campbell does, to be honest. But things like that really inspired me for this level. Also, what else I used to watch two other films that really come to mind when I'm making this level. The original Wicker Man. Don't look at that one Nicolas Cage did, but the original one from the 70s. I can't remember the actor's name. He starred in the American television series Equalizer. He's from the UK, but the original Wicker Man, I think really subliminally, to some extent, really inspired this level, along with another movie. It's by Clive. It was based on a Clive Barker short story or book. It's one of his lesser known movies, Rawhead Rex. I don't know if anyone has really seen those, but I don't think I'm going to get as as gory as some of those films, even though I don't think Wicker Man was really gory, but I really want to try to capture the mood and the whole atmosphere of all that, and really kind of incorporate all that into a really interesting fantasy horror setting. And as far as the inspiration for this level, I think that's a lot of that inspiration, along with the books by Anne Rice. It's really, I'm trying to set the tone. And yeah, I get my inspirations from almost anywhere. When it comes to when I'm making the levels, I don't necessarily get them from other video games. I really do try to get it from other sources of media. Oh, and another source for this level, music. I've been listening to a lot of a band called Bareness, and they put out I think it was called the Green and Yellow album. It's a dual album. They're actually a pretty good band, but a lot of their theme in this album was I don't know, it was a lot of seamanship, Captain Ahab-ish type of feel to it. A lot of references to water, and maybe somehow subliminally that's kind of inspired me to do this level that's on a lakeside, overlooking this graveyard and old ruined chapel and such, overlooking this lake that's I'm going to try to make really spooky with just lighting and fog and everything else. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is you gotta really look at what really inspires you, really what you want to do, where you get your inspiration. I mean, I think anyone who works or attempting to get a work in the entertainment film really needs to look at what inspires them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, everyone has a good idea, and everything's built on an idea. All sorts of principles and movies and all forms of entertainment are all built on ideas, but it obviously takes more than an idea to be successful, because really a lot of people have ideas, and I'm a firm believer you have to be creative, you have to be a problem solver, and you do have to be somewhat of an idealist, but ideas are about a dime a dozen, to be honest. A lot of people have ideas. It's only one aspect of many that will allow you to be successful, and I really can't say it's made me successful. At the very least, I'm happy with what I'm making at the moment. I feel like I've accomplished something, and a lot of that's from my ideas. And I guess that leads me to what is this type of movies that I really enjoy? What are some things that really want me to play like a game over and over? What makes me want to watch a movie over and over? I guess for genres and stuff, I don't know. I really like zombie films. And I like a lot of like the darker sci-fi films. I love a lot of the social commentary sci-fi films of the 70s. For example, like Soylent Green, I'm a big fan of. Logan's Run. Even other like later on, like 1984. Things of like that nature. Those movies really inspire me. And 1984, the book as well. Um, as far as novels, like I read like all kinds of stuff. I read everything from your popular novelist to maybe people you never really heard of before. One book series that I used to really enjoy when I was younger, and I don't know if too many people remember the series, but it was like the Necroscope series by Brian Lumley, I believe. And man, dude, those books went on forever, but it was a different twist, because when I really started getting to Brian Lumley, the Anne Rice books were really starting to take off because the movies and stuff were starting to come out in the 90s. And to be honest with you, like I like the Anne Rice version of the vampires and stuff, but they kind of lost what they were about, and they were monsters, man. They were meant to scare you. And even though the Anne Rice version was, a good take on it, I just felt that I just got burnt out with, vampires and feelings. Just like how Twilight's out now. It's like I felt like I've been there and done that before. When I watch a monster movie, I want to see a monster. I don't want to have them sit around a house and discuss their feelings, sipping over a nice cup of chamomile tea. But with that said, like I got into like the Brian Lumley novels, and man, dude, I thought they were so cool, because one, it was set in the Cold War era, and two, it was like this kind of fantasy, espionage, vampire, horror. It's just crazy, dude. It was like a lot of the stuff that I thought was like way, like really cool. So if you haven't checked out the Necroscope series or read it, I highly suggest it. I think there was a comic book series that was based on it, but I do not know. Can't remember who published it, and it's probably going to be impossible to find now. So I guess head over to your Barnes and Nobles before they go bankrupt, and see if you can pick up some. I think Brian Lumley, he's a British author. He is definitely worth checking out if you like horror novels. And got about a minute left, and so yeah, the next video I will definitely be getting into more in depth about bringing over your assets into CryEngine, and I'll be showing you some of the stuff I have been working on, stuff I made, stuff I've gotten, and bring it over to it. Tell you some tips and problems I had faced, and how I corrected them in the next video. So hopefully that will help some other people out who maybe have some questions on how to bring over their assets to CryEngine 3. And right now I'm just going to kind of cut it out here. So just please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for coming, and hope to see you again real soon.